Hey everybody, welcome to the Queens Lair. Today's episode is Stillborn is Still Born. And we have some beautiful ladies with us today, some queens that we're going to get ready to introduce to you. And then we're going to get into this topic that's not really discussed very often, especially not to my knowledge, because I've never even thought of it that way. When you consider when you're pregnant or a woman finds out she's pregnant, she starts planning names and starts thinking about the baby shower and thinking about all of these, if it's going to be a boy or a girl, but you never talk about or think about the possibilities during labor. So we're getting ready to get into that discussion, but first we're going to do introductions of our queens, and we're going to start with you, Sadija. So tell us who you are and just a little bit about what you do.
So I'm Sadija Smiley. I am the founder and CEO of Sales, which is a nonprofit organization that provides support and resources to individuals that have been impacted by the loss of a baby. And Sales stands for Stillborn and Infant Loss Support.
Nice, I like that. And tell us a little bit about who you are, Ebony.
My name is Ebony Harmon. I am a transformation coach. I am also co-founder of Siyanda Esha Wellness. And it's a collaboration of wellness experts who work with people to live their best lives through fitness, wellness, and just all around.
Nice, great. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. I think that it's important that, you guys tell us a little bit about your experience. Tell us about, how did this happen to you? Just tell us about your story, a little bit about your story.
It happened about 12 years ago. I had a stillborn. My daughter's name is Alana Marie, my angel, Alana Marie Stewart. And I was 9.5 months when I found out that she had passed within me. I realized that I didn't feel her kicking, which was kind of odd because she was very active in my stomach. And the first day I just said, oh, maybe she's tired. We get tired, babies get tired in the stomach, so maybe she's tired. And then the next day I really just was like, no, something's wrong. And I went and talked to my mom, and she rushed me to the hospital. And it was a very sad moment at the time because the nurse was checking for her heart rate and she heard a heartbeat. So she was like, oh no, you're fine, but it was mine. So she went out and she went back to the doctors and she was like, you're fine, but just 1 second. And she went to the doctor and got the doctor, and that's when the doctor came and said, no, that's your heartbeat. I'm sorry, your child has passed. But I was 9.5 months, but it's hard. It is hard to deal with. It's hard to talk about, but it was something that I got through. A lot of people that was there, even the nurses and friends and family came, and they were like, this is the most peaceful situation I've ever seen. I had my moments where I cried and of course, cried uncontrollably. And then I had my moments where I said, okay, this is God's will. And it was through that experience that I was able to I'd never experienced it before, and I'd never heard anybody having one before. So to me, it was my first time ever hearing about it. But I feel like it was just, God was helping. I was a vessel for him to help somebody else that went through it. And I had a few friends and family members that went through it after me. And I feel like it was through my strength and in witnessing me going through it that they were able to walk through it as well.
And I think that's important that we do realize we don't go through just for us. God allows us to handle these things so that we can help other people, because somebody else is going to go through that and they may not have the strength that you have, but from your strength that can be transferred to them to help them to grow.
Absolutely.
So that's amazing. And tell me a little bit about your story.
Very similar to Ebony, which I learned once I started talking about it, that it's a very similar experience across women. I also was 9 months pregnant, and I was cleaning and cooking, and something said to me, have you felt her move? And so my daughter, Aviana Celine, I was 9 months, and I heard that the further along you get, the baby slows down, which I know now is not true. Babies are active the entire pregnancy, so if they slow down, there's a problem. But I hadn't felt her move, and I tried to figure out when was the last time I did. I couldn't figure out. I went to the hospital. I called my doctor first, and they were like, oh, just drink a cold glass of water, wait 30 minutes. If nothing happens, give us a call back. I called back, went to the hospital, very similar experience. The machine rolled in. They were looking for her heartbeat. It was very quiet, though. The staff there, I think, was unprepared. This was in 2003 when I lost my daughter. And so we just celebrated her sweet 16th birthday. But I think it was uncommon. So the nurses and the doctors, they didn't say anything. They were looking, searching. One doctor left out, another doctor came in. And we know when you see more than one doctor that something is going on. And they were searching and searching. And they finally said, you know, the 5 words that still sends chills through my body is, "I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat." And so that was when I learned that she had passed in the womb. And I still didn't really kind of understand what was going on. And I didn't know how she was going to get out. So I'm like, okay, do you give me a C-section? They said, no, you have to deliver this baby.
Oh, God.
So they induced my labor. I was in labor for 23 hours, contractions, and I had to physically deliver, push her out. But I knew before the contraction started that she was going to come out and she wasn't going to be living.
So you kind of was a little prepared.
A little bit. I didn't know what I was going to see. I was very scared. I didn't know how she was going to look, because when you think about someone who's not living, it's not really a pretty picture that you can come up with. So I was afraid what she was going to look like. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to touch her. I didn't, you know, but when she came out, she just literally looked like she was sleeping. She had a head full of hair, the most chocolatest baby. She was so pretty. And so after I delivered her, I was able to hold her and spend a little bit of time with her, but very much like Ebony, I think I don't know what was going on. I kind of checked out. It was like I was watching a movie, and I didn't know this was something that could happen. But after my experience and me talking about it, it took me some time, about 5 years before I even talked about it. And once I started talking about it, I learned that there were other women and men and families who had experienced this. And just being able to share that story to let others know that in the moment, you feel like you're not going to make it and you don't see how you're going to make it, but it is possible and you do make it through. And some days are better than others, but you survive. And
so what do you think, you know, from each of you ladies is something that, do you think it was something that you could have prepared in advance, or something you could have noticed with your body, or, you know, were there things that you could have questioned the doctor more on that may have been able to prevent that? Or, you know, is there something that women should recognize about their bodies or look out for? Is there anything that, you know, you can speak about that?
I don't think it was anything that I could have done to prevent it. I did have an autopsy on her, but I found out she had already passed away like 2 or 3 days prior to me having to birth her. But I would say to women, just be aware of your baby and their movement. And as soon as you feel like something isn't right, go ahead and get checked out. It's okay to do that, because I think had I went that night when I first felt her, I feel like maybe something could have been done, because then I went the second night and that's when they found no heartbeat. And then the third day is when I had birthed her. And at that point they were like, she had already passed 3 days ago.
Wow.
So that's something that I do live with, like, wow, if I had just listened to myself and just went when I thought something was wrong, maybe, but it's definitely nothing you are prepared for to deal with. My advice would be for women to listen to your own inner voice when you feel something isn't quite right.
Yeah,
and I would echo the same thing, because any mom you talk to, we all will say I didn't know what didn't feel right, but I knew something didn't feel right. One thing for me, I too had an autopsy and there were no results. However, my daughter I was 36 weeks pregnant. She was only 3 pounds. So I feel like something was going on throughout the pregnancy, but I didn't know. So while they were doing these scans and telling me how much she weighed, I feel like the doctors should have noticed that she was growing slowly. So along the path, along the way, something happened. I don't know what, but something happened. But I would too advise women to go with your first instinct. Don't be afraid to question the doctors. Pay attention to the baby's movement, because like I said, I learned that babies don't slow down further in the pregnancy. So if the baby is slowing down, you want to check on it and just go as many times as it makes you feel comfortable. Don't worry about what anybody's telling you. Oh, you're obnoxious, you're at the doctor every day. Do what makes you feel comfortable to make sure your baby gets here as safe as possible. And if they don't, it's not your fault. Sometimes it's just nothing you can do because you don't know.
Yeah, did you ever feel like questioning, like, God, why me? Why did you allow this to happen?
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
and what do you
definitely.
do, like, if somebody experiences that, because I know for me, I couldn't imagine. So I can feel, just being a mother and being a woman, what kind of feelings that I would have. So talk about that. Talk about your questioning God, and then how do you reconcile back with Him? You know.
Yeah.
So
Well, Alana was my first child. I do have a rainbow baby, Ariana, but Alana. So I didn't know, it was my first pregnancy. So throughout the pregnancy, and it's kind of opposite of you, she was 10 pounds. And when I was pregnant with her, I had a doctor say, oh, we might want to deliver you early because she's big. But then I had another doctor say, no, you know, you can just wait until she comes. And the thing about it is, I also I don't feel as though I went through the proper channels of getting checked. With my second pregnancy, you know, they gave you the test for diabetes and they did the stress test. Well, at 9 months, I'd never had a stress test, you know, so, and this is something that I wasn't even aware of. So I would really tell ladies, like, make sure that you read up on and you learn just the steps that you're supposed to go through with your doctor visits, what to expect at your doctor visits. But the feeling was, it took me, I'm not over it. You know, it's nothing that you ever get over, but I did go to counseling for a year because I just wasn't prepared to lose my child, to actually have to birth my baby and then bury her as well. And it was a shocker to me that, you know, I had to actually birth her. I'm like, I have to give birth and I can't take my baby home. I can't watch her breathe. I can't. You know, I held her, and I changed her clothes because I said, I need to feel like a mother to her. So after I birthed her and her father and I, we held the baby, we held her, Alana, and then I said, you know, I just need to change her clothes. I need to feel like her mom before I send her to, you know, to go. And it's nothing that you, it's nothing that you're
hard.
prepared for.
It's something that it's hard, you know, and you can't really describe a mother's pain however she loses a child. But I think it's a special pain when you birth a child and you don't get the opportunity to mother that child, as opposed to being a mother and lose a child. You know, I think that's tough. So, it's hard, and I think that, you know, your stories are going to help so many people. So I'm going to take a break so that we can, you know, just kind of get some things, because this is a very, and I hope you guys are listening, this is very important, that you guys have to pay attention to your body, pay attention, question the doctors, ask questions about things that you feel, things that you're not sure about. So we're going to get ready to take a small break, and we're going to go to the Raw on the Street segment, and then we'll come back in the studio.
Why, God?
Why, God?
Why, God? Why?
Ma'am, you're having a miscarriage. Let me tell you what happened. I don't care about what happened. Where's my baby? She don't know what it's like to take pregnancy tests after pregnancy tests after pregnancy tests and have each and every one come out negative.
But you robbed us! You did it! You robbed her and you robbed me.
This crazy man from my church had the audacity to look me in my face and say that I was cursed. Why? What do they have when I am so desperately trying to possess? We are the women who will continue the watching and the waiting of it just one day being us.
Being us. Being us. Being us.
Being us.
Being us.
Being us.
All right, so we are back on the Queens Lair Christian Talk Show, and we're going to get back into the conversation. And before we took our break and to go to the Raw on the Street segment, we were talking to Ebony and she mentioned a rainbow baby. So I'd just like you to tell us, what is a rainbow baby? You know, what is an angel mom? Because you hear angel mom, and I've heard angel babies as I've been reading up and listening to some of these stories to find out about it myself. So tell us, what does that mean? What is the difference?
A rainbow baby is a baby that's born after a mother has experienced a loss, be it miscarriage or stillborn. So they call your next child, your living child, a rainbow baby.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
So my rainbow baby is 10.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now I get it, because I didn't know what it was before, because I had seen that in my research. So tell me about your experience in questioning God and feeling like, why me?
And the biggest thing for me in the terms of why me is this also was my first pregnancy. I wasn't married. I was in college. I was away from home. So I honestly felt like I was being punished. I was like, well, I'm having this baby out of wedlock. Is that why, you know, he took her from me? As a young woman, I wasn't probably the best person, and, you know, made some choices in school with my body and my life. And so I was like, well, am I being punished for the decisions and things that I've done before? And I was very angry with God because I couldn't understand why he would do something like that. Why would you allow me to carry a baby for 9 months, to have a baby shower, to have a nursery, to have a name, you know, her grandparents, or everybody's expecting her, and then it felt like instantly she was snatched away. So I was very angry with God, and I turned away from him for a long time because I couldn't believe that a loving God who's supposed to take care of me and be there for me would cause me so much pain. And it wasn't until I honestly, with that experience, friends and family, as much as they tried to be there for me, I just felt like I was alone. And I was in my bathroom one day, and I had gotten to a really, really low point, and I just decided that I didn't want to be here anymore. I had taken a ton of medication, and I was sitting on the floor, and I very clearly heard God say that now is not your time. And so I was like, it was like somebody was in the bathroom with me. And at that moment was when I realized he does love me. And he didn't do anything to me. He didn't cause me any pain. And I had to stop painting God to be this wizard who does this and does that and takes this. And I started to read more of my word and go back to church and get closer to him. And I started talking to him like he was my friend. So God, tell me why did this happen? What can I do? And I quickly discovered in that moment of going back to him that there was no purpose for the pain except for me to create one. And so that's when I decided the purpose would be to help other people, because no one was there to help me and make me aware that this could happen.
And there's a purpose in our pain, and everybody's pain. And I think that if as hard as it is to be able to say whatever we're dealing with, to take that pain and turn it into the purpose that God has for it. Because his intentions is not to just destroy us and see us fail and see us hurt and see us, you know, just cast it aside. But everything that we go through is for someone else. And, you know, we talk about, you know, Job. Many of us talk about how there was no real purpose. And not only that, we just as humans, life itself, like you said, God's not a magician where he just waves his magic wand. Some things we go through in life, but we have to, in order to get through it, we have to go through it. And going through it sometimes is dark. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes we don't understand. But there is a reason, and we just have to trust God and believe that what you went through brought you to where you are today. Being able to be successful, being able to speak to another young lady, another queen, to say, pay attention to your body, learn from your lessons, they can learn. And I think that's really, really important. So what do you hear a lot of times that people say where they try to support you, but it's really painful? You know, I've heard people say, you know, oh, don't worry about it, it's all right. Or, you know, it's been long enough, it's time to move on. And you can't, is there a timing for your grief? You know, what are some of the things you've heard that people say to try to encourage you?
The biggest thing that I would say that I think is very discouraging, that people feel like is encouraging, is you can have another child. I was 23 years old. For everybody, I was young.
Like she's replaceable.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what you hear when someone says, oh, you can have another child. So are you telling me this child didn't matter?
Right.
That I'm supposed to just forget about her and move forward? And that was the main thing. At least she wasn't 5.
Oh,
well, if you had spent time with her, then you would be upset. But you never got to meet her. How can you miss her? How can you feel this way? And so I think people minimize it because they're on the outside, and they really want to help you, and people don't know what to say. But those are the 2 things that really, I still know exactly who said it, what they look like, what they were wearing. Like, those
that hit you right in the gut.
Exactly.
Yes. What about you?
You know, I didn't really have many people give me a lot of encouraging words because they didn't know what to say, because a lot of the people that I was around never knew about it and never experienced it. So they kind of felt like they needed to walk on eggshells when they was around, because, you know, I have her ashes and things laid out in my house, her urn laid out in my house. So a lot of people was just like, I don't know what to say. But what I will encourage people not to say is, don't diminish a woman being a mother. Don't say to her, well, you know, you're not a mom because your child's not here, because my second child was born a couple of years later. So they were just like, well, you never really got to experience her. So, you know, just kind of move on.
Yeah, and I
it's
think that is
nothing you move
painful.
on from.
I think that is painful because it makes it seem like you don't matter, like you don't care, like, you know, like you don't care about this particular child, and you do. So I think that we need to just encourage everybody to make sure that you understand and know that God knows the thoughts that he thinks towards you. He has thoughts of peace and not of evil, and an expected end. And he says, peace that I leave you and I give you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither be afraid. Always trust God and believe that in any situation that it is okay. Make sure, ladies, that you trust in your body, feel it, and go into the doctors and ask those questions. So we're going to close out right now and get ready to have a song selection from our inspirational singer, Lavonne Nichols.
Never would have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I never would have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, much better. When I look back on all you brought me through, I realized it was you, the one I held on to, and I never would have made it. Oh, I never could have made it without you. I could have lost my mind a long time ago if it had not been for you. I'm stronger. I never would have made it without you. Never could have made it without. Oh God, you've been there in the midst of my storm, in the midst of my test. I'm stronger. somebody better. Much better. I made it. You made it. We made it. Oh, we made it with the Lord.